What's going on, family? Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. This morning we have a dad. So the dads will unite, see if we can out dad joke each other. We'll see. I like a little competition. Um, Father of three boys, previously was a restaurant manager for 10 years out of college, is now a full-time entrepreneur. And let's see how he found us. Byron, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, dude, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome, man. You're very welcome. So you're the father of three boys. What's that like?
Oh my goodness. Um, well, it's kind of like a barrel of monkeys type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
There's always something going on, but we're extremely blessed and just very very happy. So
Where are you calling in from, Byron?
I am based out of Eastern Iowa.
Oh, wow. Wow. You're the second
Yeah.
human that I know from Iowa. I didn't actually know there was that many humans from Iowa. I thought it was just, plains and hills and kind of sheep and stuff. But I guess there's actual human beings that live
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, we have a few people here, not a whole lot,
Yeah.
especially this time of year. It's like -2 degrees outside, so I know where you're at. It's warm, so if you can send some of that warm weather up here, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Well, I look for a sweatshirt whenever the AC goes down below about 70 degrees. So I don't know
Okay,
if that
okay.
makes you feel good or makes you feel bad, but that's my truth.
Well, I can't resonate with that pain point of yours. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's unique. It's unique. Well, how did you find Legendary, brother? What were you looking for, and did you were you not looking for something, and somehow you saw something that you didn't know that you were looking for? Talk to us a little bit about like what brought you online, how you went from restaurant manager to entrepreneur, and then eventually what led you to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a very long kind of emotional roller coaster, but we'll go ahead and start. So I graduated in college in 2011. And I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. My parents, they own their own small business, so it was an amazing experience because we always had mom and dad at home, and so when we ended up or when I graduated from college, that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't have the resources money wise. I didn't really have the time, and so then I moved back home near Washington, Iowa, and I found a job as a restaurant manager at a local pizza place. And so I told myself that's what I was going to do for a while until I saved up some money and got, get things going. And then, just one thing after another, 2, 3 years later, then I decided, this is probably where I was going to plant my flag. Because, I mean, I didn't mind it, but, it wasn't really fulfilling at the same time. But I
Yeah.
kept at it. And then, next thing I know, it's like 7, 8 years. I got married, I had kids. And I noticed as I was advancing in the quote unquote corporate ladder, I was
Yeah.
spending more and more time away from my kiddos. And 7 o'clock in the morning leaving for work turned into 6, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was spending 12, 13 hours a day at work, to the
Mm,
point where I was waking up before my kids got up, and then I was coming home way late after my kids were already asleep. And
mm.
then at that point, I realized like something had to change. And that was a couple of years ago when I came to that realization. And then I started dipping my toes in like online business, looking
Yeah.
at like drop shipping, just a variety of different options. I wasn't very familiar with affiliate marketing.
Hmm.
I've heard of it, but I wasn't quite ready to make that jump. So again, I was toe dipping in different avenues. It wasn't until about April of last year I got a call from my family that my mom ended up collapsing,
Mm,
and she got rushed to the hospital. We found out that she had cancer,
mm.
and she ended up passing away 5 days after.
Oh my God. I'm
It
sorry,
was it
Byron.
was very sudden.
That's
At that
tragic.
moment, when I got that phone call that my mom passed, I
Yeah.
knew at that point that was a eye-awakening moment for me, because I knew at that point like how fragile life was. I mean,
Wow.
you're growing up, you're seeing, distant adults and grandparents. They slowly start passing away. You don't really think too much about it, and but then when it becomes more intermediate family, and then
Yeah.
you begin to realize just how fragile life is. My kids
Wow.
are getting older. I wasn't spending any time with my family, and
Mm.
what was the straw that broke the camel's back was I got no remorse or no sympathy for my employer,
Yeah.
because we were really shorthanded. And at that point, I just felt like I was mentally checked out. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've got really nothing to show for it. And I wasn't really spending any time with my family or my kids, and I
Yeah.
needed something. So at that point, after my mom's funeral, we ended up, my wife, she's from Kentucky. So we
Mm.
traveled down to Kentucky for about a week to get away from it. And I was
Yeah.
on TikTok, and because I'm sure this is how all the stories began. I was on TikTok, I was scrolling through, and I came across, I believe it's Sarah Raven.
Mm. Rabel.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was watching some of her TikTok videos,
The
and
Raven, Rabble, Raven. I mean, maybe
Ravel.
Sarah
Yeah,
Raven. That's
sorry,
kind of cool too. Sarah Raven.
Raven.
We'll let her know you called her that and see if she wants to add that to her repertoire of names. You know what I mean? Identities. TikTok
Absolutely.
identity.
I
The
mean, you got to have
Raven.
different
Yeah,
aliases, right?
exactly.
So so then I ended up watching some of her videos, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, this has to be something that God put in front of me. This is something that could kind of appeal to me. So then I decided to just jump in, just see where it took me. It was only $7.
Mm.
And then from there, I decided just to kind of put my head down. I left my restaurant management job. I had some money in my savings. I said, if not now, then never, you know.
Mm.
And since then, in the last 10 months, I've just been killing it. And, I have never stepped foot into another restaurant manager job. As a matter of fact, I made a comment to my wife on New Year's Eve that this was my first year that I was able to go to a New Year's event without having to worry about like inventory or anything with my restaurants I managed. So,
Wow. Wow.
so,
So
and here I'm in
in
today.
darkness, through darkness appears some light.
Yeah.
Basically, is what I'm hearing, in your story. And I want to send my condolences, of course. That's traumatic and shocking. And what's in grieving is something that we all can relate to. But you're right, when it hits close to home and it's with parents or loved ones that are so close and so immediate, it's just it's something that words can't do anything for. A person just has to walk through that, right? And it's only
Yeah.
empathy, and we can relate to that. But there's nothing that can make one feel better about that. Just support. And that's what you didn't feel and what you didn't get from your employer. And I just would like everybody to just think about that for a second. This past 18 to 24 months was a time when a lot of people were deemed non-essential. Here are people who have paid their taxes. Here are people who have paid, into the system, who have made their, bosses wealthy, who have worked and worked and worked, like you said, for 10 years. I just had another friend of mine get laid off, effective immediately after 26 years
Wow.
in an HR position, effective immediately. She said, "Well, do you mind if I come back tomorrow? Because I've got a lot of stuff to clear out of my desk and out of my office." And they said, "You can come back on Friday after 5 p.m. and you
Wow.
can clear your stuff out." That was after 26 years of service, their thank you. That was how, and it was just a bullshit reason. It was one of those we're restructuring type excuses. They didn't even have the cojones to speak straight. and tell her what was really going on. She thinks it was just a resentment or something that upper management or something had with her because she's outspoken, but she's good at what she does and has a lot of integrity. 10 years, and they didn't have the humanity and the decency to give you sympathy and give you space and give you their condolences. And I often say that we have to find our motivation from our pain, not from our
Yeah.
goals, because we can sit around, and I know this is another thing that humans can relate to, is we've been dreaming and we've been talking big game for years about the things that we want, and it's so easy to fantasize about those things.
Yeah.
But those things don't motivate people. What motivates people is to get out of pain, to make things stop. And so you, Byron, used something that, quite frankly, could have drove you further into that complacency and even sadness or depression of, well, this is my destiny, after the situation with mom. But you use that as a sign, uh, and of course you were open-minded for new opportunity to come through your door and onto your desk. But wow, I wonder, to those of you listening, what pain in your life are you ignoring that you could use as motivation right now? And that, my friend, is called turning a mess into a message. That's called turning a struggle into its strength. That's called turning a breakdown or potential breakdown into a breakthrough. And Byron, how does that feel, knowing that you did that versus, and again, it would be totally understandable if after the situation happened with mom, you had a breakdown, and it would be totally understandable if you did that. But how does it feel, maybe even in mom's legacy, that you used that whole situation as a reason to break through, move closer to your family, adjust your life, pivot things almost in her honor? I mean, does that feed your self-esteem? Does that make you, describe how that feels?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does feed my inner strength, and it feeds my why in what I want to accomplish. Um, I see myself now compared to where I was a few years ago. I was settling for less. I knew that there was a lot more in me, but
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really know how to harness that strength and bring it to life. Now, I'm not going to say it was easy by all means. Like, there were a
Sure.
lot of moments, very dark moments, but I was very fortunate that, I have a spouse, I have my 3 boys for strength, and I
Sure.
look to them for that
Sure.
strength. And I see myself living a life now that, I can provide financially for my family, for one, but then also to be there, for full support. Now I can wake up, I can make breakfast, I can take the kids to school, I can go to T-ball games, I can, pick them up. It's an amazing experience, and one that I would have not had if it would have not been through that pain that I went through with
Yeah.
my mom's passing. So, I mean, like I said, it was a struggle, but it was a necessary struggle to kind of kick me in my butt to realize
Yeah.
that what I was doing was not enough, and it wasn't my calling in life.
Sure.
It, and like I said, doing it for 10 years, I got complacent, and
Sure.
again, I thought that's where I was going to plant my flag, but there was something inside me that was telling me that I was meant to do more. And here
Well,
it is.
you also were doing what society has told you is a great accomplishment, middle management at a job. I mean, you've got a management position. Some call you boss,
Yeah.
I mean, to those, when I was a kid growing up, I mean, it was either be a baseball player or it was become a manager at I mean, to me, that's what society sort of
Yeah.
gives us, the message that you've kind of made it, but then the math doesn't quite add up when you get
Yeah.
there, does it? You know what I mean? Whether
Yep.
it's hours at home versus hours at work, whether it's month left at the end of when the money runs out, the numbers don't add up. And so what I want to acknowledge you for is using certain things that happened along the way as signs, and framing those signs as, wow, maybe this is a sign. That's called framing. That's called perspective. And a lot of us, struggle because we choose to see things in a certain way. The way that you saw your employer was a sign to you. You perceive that a certain way. Well, I'm not getting any sympathy or empathy here. These people are unsupportive and probably don't have my back and not who I want to continue to work for, versus, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I need to get over this faster and just get back in there. The thing with being on TikTok and seeing that video by Sarah and saying, instead of, well, oh, this must be a scam, or this oh yeah, you said, well, maybe this is a sign. And I think framing and how we choose to see things, either glass half empty, glass half full, do we want to focus on the struggle, or do we want to focus on how to turn that struggle into a strength? Same thing as people who stay in victim stance versus turning that victim situation, and where you may have been a victim, and turning that into a victorious situation. That's a choice. You absolutely were a victim of maybe some callousness at your employer, and instead of staying in that, you chose to take back your power and become victorious. And that, I think, is the underlining dynamics in entrepreneurship, Byron, that not a lot of people understand. And I wonder if you could just, what comes up for you as I say what I just said? Do you have any perspective on that, the mindset piece of this game and how it's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know, like I said, being a middle level management in the restaurant business, I had a salary, I had benefits, I had all that. So I was, quote unquote, chasing the American dream. But then realizing that I could take back my own time to, start leveraging my time in entrepreneurship to make money online so that I could have more time with my family and my kids, just separating time and money and just focusing on delivering value and providing a solution ultimately has led me to have the mindset I have now. But ultimately, being able to show up every single day and serving and helping others has really given me a sense of ownership and pride as an entrepreneur. And that's something that, like I said, burgers and fries, I did that for, like I said, 10 years. So, you really don't get a sense of fulfillment out of that. But when you can help people to create and scale profitable online businesses, and so that they can live that life that you're living now, it's a whole different game changer. And, I see that every day, like I said, with me helping dads, that's, we shared similar pain points. I have those pleasure points that they're looking for. And, we have just a strong chemistry just because of the where we're coming from and what we all wanted to achieve, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very, very, very good. That sense of purpose is important, and something that's oftentimes missing, is more important to people, at least in salary and hourly positions all over America, at least, is recognition over money. And I think that also plays into having purpose, with your job, both being recognized and appreciated, but also feeling purpose and fulfillment is something that's missing from a lot of jobs. And when you get into entrepreneurship, and it sounds like what you're doing is working in the online business / make money online space, and you're helping people to start businesses and kind of following your footsteps. And that, seeing somebody succeed, seeing people have that first kind of that being restored with hope is, there's really there's no feeling like it. I mean, there's no, it's because what's at the end of that, what comes with that is more time with their loved ones, more income, more freedom. And, the fulfillment in comparison to how much money you make from someone as a customer or as a referral, if you're doing affiliate marketing, the fulfillment is much higher than even the money that you make, which I think is a great thing. If your fulfillment is greater even than the money that you make, you will continue to be pulled back to that until the money starts to equal the fulfillment. And that's when, or even go above and beyond the fulfillment, which is when things get really exciting. Let's talk a little bit about your omnipresence and kind of what you've learned or what that means to you. You mentioned that word in your questionnaire that you sent us, a couple of questions that we asked you. And I just wondered, what does that mean to you? What does that look like to you in sort of, what are you doing now that maybe you would have advised your brand new self that you didn't know when you first started?
Yeah. That's a good question. So what I would advise my newer version, or, who I was then to where I'm at now, I would advise him to really just focus on creating an omnipresence. And so I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and I just started up YouTube. And it's important to put yourself out there. And a lot of people, they struggle on putting their face out on the camera. And I was kind of the same way too. Like I really didn't want to put myself out there. Again, I was a restaurant manager. So like I didn't really have a lot of online marketing skills. And then if I put myself out there, like what should I say, that sort of stuff. But, once you create an omnipresence, when you put yourself out on multiple platforms, then just nailing down your niche, understanding like who you're targeting, understand their pain points, and then delivering content based on their pleasure points or what they wanted to accomplish. So when I first started, I was like any other affiliate marketer. I was just creating content, kind of like spaghetti to the wall, essentially, just hoping something would stick. Yep. And it wasn't until I started creating content based around, dadpreneurs, like helping dads become dadpreneurs and understanding like the same pain points I had, struggling to, waking up, kissing my kids, good morning, and they're not even awake. And I go to work and, I'm calling them, say, hey, I might be 10, 15 minutes late for your T-ball game. I'm sorry. Just delivering on those pain points and serving those.
Wow. That really is a big old boulder there of value. And that's it. I mean, because you're speaking more to somebody specifically. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people who have kids, and quite frankly, what I know about human beings is whether they fit the bill of who you're talking to or not. If you're saying things that they can relate to or could have related to at one point in their life, say they're older, maybe they're an older dad who the things that you're saying are making them think, God, I wish I would have done more of that when I was younger. I wish I would have, we have a lot of guys who are grandpas who say they want to learn skills and they want to start a business to be able to share with their son or their kids and even their grandkids.
Yes.
And so the reason why I say, if some of you are thinking, well, what if I talk to moms or what if I talk to dads, I'd be leaving so many other people out. No, the more specific you can be, the more you are going to reach those that you are trying to talk to. And the more even others that might not fit the exact identity are going to be like, well, could you help moms too? Right? They'll start asking, they'll feel excluded and they'll want to be included. Okay. That's some unique marketing psychology that I've learned and realized over the years, is that if you're talking to a specific person and they feel excluded, then they will want to be included and they will begin to ask themselves questions in their mind like, well, I know I'm older than the people that you're talking to, but I'd like to be included in this, because nobody wants to be left out. And I've saw this happen in a couple of different ads that I've seen over the years. I'll give you an example. One was a ad on Facebook where a girl was she was in the make money online niche, and I actually have this ad in the blueprints. I share this ad down in the Facebook funnel strategy. There was she goes, attention nurses, right? And then and she's got a picture of herself in a nurse outfit. And then basically her message is a message that anybody can relate to, right? Because she's talking about working a lot of hours at a job, not spending time with family. And so down in she goes, her ad was, type info down below if you'd like more information, I'll send you. So of course her ad just was blowing up with comments. And people were like, well, hey, could you help a carpenter too? Could you help an electrician? Could you help a plumber? Could you help a doctor? Could you help a lawyer? Right? Because nobody wants to be excluded. They said, hey, this sounds like it relates. It could relate to me as well. And they'll literally type it in. So I wanted to validate that. And I wanted to also address that objection with some of you, because many times when we think about niching down, we think, well, what about all the other people we're leaving out? But when somebody feels excluded, they will mentally try to do gymnastics to make themselves included. They will come up with some reason about something that they can relate to, or almost they begin to sell themselves and try to sell you on why they should fit into your, into your group or tribe, or why they belong with you. So when you say omnipresent, let's dig in a little bit to, are you posting the same content? Do you make a TikTok video and then you repurpose it over on Instagram? How are you creating content? And then is it unique for each platform? Can you say a little bit more about that?
So it's not unique. All my content is very target specific towards, dads that want to become dadpreneurs. So what I do is I create all my content over on TikTok, and then I go ahead and get the watermark removed, and then I cross-pollinate on YouTube Shorts. Right now, I think I have about 200 subs on my YouTube channel, just on YouTube Shorts. So not bad. On Instagram, and then also on Facebook as well. And what I have done is I've tied my Instagram to my personal Facebook page, just for the organic reach. And then when I post stuff on my Instagram, it automatically shows up on my Facebook. So there's not a lot of leg room involved with it. So it's just presenting the material, targeting the right niche, and then just showing up every single day consistently, providing solutions to certain pain points of your ideal clientele.
Are you doing anything on Pinterest?
I tried Pinterest. I'm going to be honest. I tried Pinterest, but I just haven't had a lot of traction with Pinterest. And I've just been, kind of hyper focused on those 4 platforms and just leveraging those platforms. Did you repurpose
the same exact video over onto Pinterest? Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
Okay.
I have. I've done that, but like I said, I just haven't had a lot of luck. I'm not excluding Pinterest by all means. Pinterest, there's some affiliate marketers I work with. They do rather well on Pinterest. I just don't have a lot of experience and exposure with Pinterest to really speak to that platform. But I've had a lot of luck with TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Well, I wouldn't call it luck, my brother. It sounds like you're putting the work in.
Well, yes. This is also correct too.
I know what you mean.
The one thing I also want to mention on Facebook too, because I get a lot of people when I talk to them on Zooms, they feel that Facebook is kind of like a dying platform. And just, the importance of leveraging Facebook in their Facebook groups have been a huge game changer. So like I'm involved with like 10 different dad groups on Facebook. I'm actively involved with them. So, this is a way I can get in, create some sort of authority figure, and then establishing that know, like, and trust factor to then build my business. I don't want to use the term siphoning prospects from those Facebook groups, but to overall just build my community in that sense. So.
Well, we know all about siphoning out of Facebook groups, because there's a lot of people that try to siphon out of our Facebook groups. That's okay. That's okay. We know the
Yep.
game. We know the game.
Yeah. I mean, we're all kind of familiar with it. So
Yeah. We know the game. We know the game, and we like to play the game too. It's a little game of cat and mouse. See, it's all fun and games until you build your own Facebook group, and then you have people marketing the siphon. But it's all a game. See, at one time throughout our career, we're all going to be the cat, and we're all going to be the mouse.
Yeah.
And it goes full circle. And then if you're the cat, you're a mouse somewhere else, so we're the cat. We have a big group, so we're the cat. We've got a lot of mice in there, and then we're the mice other places on Facebook. When we're running ads, we're trying not to get slapped by the big cat. When we're on TikTok and we're running ads, we're trying not to get slapped by the big cat. So a lot of marketing is a game of playing cat and mouse, you have to embrace all the different how can I say this, all the different layers and all the good and bad with this business. I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurship and kind of being your own boss, we don't talk about enough. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. Sometimes at the end of the day, when nobody else is there to make the decision, you have to make it. Or when you're working for yourself and you're just getting started out, and this may be the case for many, many years, you may just be a solopreneur, right?
Yeah.
You may not have staff or even a virtual assistant. I know plenty of people who are making great money who don't have any assistants or any staff whatsoever. But you know what you will have? You will have multiple hats that you have to wear.
Yes.
You will have to make decisions. And I wonder, coming from a restaurant manager position, I would assume you made decisions, but I wonder what you have to say about that, because I have so many people, I know so many people, and that's just such a big challenge, but it's not really talked about, is being indecisive and not being able to make a decision and stick with that decision. So a lot of times we jump from business to business, or we just shy away from tough decisions. What would you say to people? Say to yourself, how do you view that specific topic of going from employee who may not be very used to making decisions? And a lot of dads, hey, even our wives say, what do you want to have for dinner? Well, whatever you want to have.
Yeah.
We're not very well versed at making decisions. And then you say you get into business for yourself, and now all of a sudden the buck stops with you every day, all day, and you have to make lots of decisions throughout the day. What comes up for you as I say that?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting question. So, yeah, as a restaurant manager, I was in charge of making a lot of decisions, whether if that's operational or if it's personnel, whatever it might be. And obviously, my decisions as a restaurant manager impacts the bottom line of the profitability of the restaurant. But the difference between being a restaurant manager and that decision-making habits compared to being an entrepreneurial in an entrepreneurial position, it's day and night. Because with in the restaurant space, you have some sort of structure, some protocol that you would have to follow. In entrepreneurship, I mean, your next decision you can make can either like challenge you to have a 10K month, or you could be completely broke. So you have to be a bit more, decisive.
Don't freak out over what he just said, right? Because
No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's just, you could just go totally broke and potentially die, and your head actually explode and come off of your shoulders, but no big deal.
I mean, I don't want to be dramatic about it by all means, but but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, our decisions, our habits decides on like how we're going to be in the next week, a month, a year from now. So what we are doing today ultimately channels what we're going to be in the next, X amount of months or whatever. Yeah. But to me, with making a decision, I look at how that decision is going to impact my family. I don't really look at so much on myself. Like I look at my wife, my kids. Like if I wake up every day and I show up consistently on TikTok and Instagram, And, I put my nose to the ground and I just start grinding and grinding. What could that equate to in about a month, a year from now? Could it mean more vacations? Could it mean that I can start putting money away for their savings and their college tuition? Like, my decisions aren't just for me, but it's also for my family and my kids, and bettering their future. So when I take that spotlight off myself and put it on the ones I do love and care for, it changes the perspective. It also changes the urgency of the matter too. I'm not, well, I gotta, pay these bills, and that's it. But I also focus on the lasting effect of those decisions. So I mean, hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, it answers it perfectly because it's what came out for you when I asked it. So, and I love the taking yourself out of the equation. So often we don't do things for ourselves, and I can't answer why that is. But I'll tell you what, if our granddaughter calls, or our son needs something, or a friend needs something. That's why accountability and accountability partners are so powerful, because oftentimes we'll do something for somebody else that we won't do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as a good or a bad. I'm not here to judge that, because we all have that to a certain degree, or have had it. It's a real high level, I'd say high awareness, and very, I think, it takes work and development to get to a place to where we're doing things for ourselves, out of self-love and self-care. That is a real gift if you get to that place. But oftentimes we struggle with that. That's why that's why we end up in the places that we do, is because a lot of times we don't feel we deserve better, I guess. But what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of the equation. I hear that. And I think that's a tool we could all use, because there's somebody in our lives. And a lot of times, if we can vocalize our accountability, if we can, I call it make a public declaration. And I think it's a real powerful thing, because until you make your presence and your purpose vocalized and known, as long as it's in here, you can hide from it and you can quit on it and nobody will know. Please tell me that everybody who's listening understands and is picking up what I'm putting down, because as long as I keep it inside, as long as I keep it to myself, nobody has to know. Nobody has to know, and nobody can hold me accountable. And then I don't have to answer for anything. And a lot of times, if I can just make the declaration, even if I don't think anybody's listening, what happens is now all of a sudden I feel more accountable, because I've made it real. See, inside here is a lot of fantasy. There's over 6,500 thoughts our brains make each day. So there's all kinds of thoughts that I have that you don't know about. And a lot of times those thoughts, well, shit, you don't want to know about a lot of them, right? But they just come in and they come out, and it's not really a big deal. My brain's just thinking all day. So things are not really real when they happen in here. That's why mindset work is mostly all bullshit, because our brain is just, it's a muscle. It's an operating system. It just makes thoughts, right? And that's why only actions in speaking, verbalizing something is an action. I take it out of the software. I take it out of the computer, which is just fantasy, and it's just the operating system. It's the code. And I put it out into the real world. I put it down on paper. I make a post in a Facebook group. However, I can make myself accountable and do that public declaration. Like, if I say it to my kids, if I say it to my family at the dinner table, whoo, now that's heavy duty stuff. I've made that baby real. That's why on the opposite side, the deepest, most powerful way to heal trauma, to heal things that, that are haunting us and affecting our spiritual, mental, and emotional state, is to talk through them. That's how processing works. We process things to make sense of them. And a lot of times we're not effective with that doing it on our own. We can't be. we can't be, because the thoughts get jumbled inside of our head. That's why great ideas oftentimes happen between two people or three people. It's why a lot of great partnerships, if you look at any great business, they didn't happen alone. They happened when two people came together. That's how healing happens. That's how breakthroughs happen. That's how ideas start. Because once you get it out of here, it becomes real when you put it out there. So I would just encourage all of you who are listening to make a public declaration today about what you're doing, because that's going to move you closer to your goal. It's going to make it real. Okay, versus just this thing inside of your head that's right now just really lines of code and fantasy at best. And when you put it out there, you publicly declare it, you write it down, you type it in a Facebook group, you discuss it with somebody, anybody. It makes it real. And now all of a sudden you feel accountable to it because it's a real thing. And it's not like one of these things that we do where we sweep it under the rug. That's what we do with a lot of our problems. We just sweep them under the rug, meaning we don't talk about them. So therefore, we don't ever believe that they're real when they really are.
Absolutely.
So Byron, what would you say to somebody who might be considering taking the 50-day challenge or going through our training and joining our community based on your experience, buddy?
Yeah, it's a game changer. I highly recommend it. I make it a personal goal. I go and revisit the 15-day challenge at least once every few months, just to refresh on the information. But like I said, and I've had people ask me that signed up with Legendary, is it worth it? I'm like, I spent 10 years as a restaurant manager. Like, I don't have any extended marketing, online business education. Like, I can show you how to make a burger and cook some fries, because that's what I did for 10 years. But going into Legendary, the 15-day challenge, was I skeptical at first? Yes. But spending that $7 has really moved me up and pushed my needle to the next level in my online business. Like, I was able to, quit my job and stay self-employed because of the systems and the foundations that Legendary has provided for me. And then, I'm just continuously showing up every single day, watching your guys' trainings, being active in the community. It's a real game changer. And I highly encourage people, if they're on the fence, it's only $7. Don't be like me. Like, I could have started a couple of years ago when I said, I wanted to get out of the restaurant space. I'm tired. I don't want to tiptoe around. Take the plunge, make it happen. It's changed my life, and it definitely can change yours.
Yeah. Nice, man. Well, bro, tell sending my best to your family, your children, um, and keep up the fantastic work there in Iowa, even though it's -2 degrees, brother.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get you down to an event or something, get some sunshine on your back. You can make it a family vacation or something. Go to take your kids to Disney or something now that you got some extra time
Yeah.
and some extra funds coming in. You know what I mean? Those are the kind of cool things that we get to do now. And I hope you'll come back here in a couple of months and keep us posted on your journey.
I would absolutely love that. So
All
we'll
right,
plan
man.
on it.
All right, Byron. Well, have a fantastic Monday, my brother. And we'll send everybody to give you a follow and connect with you on TikTok and Instagram. And stay legendary, my brother. All right.
All right. Take care, Dave.
See you, Byron. All right, my friends. You can go and give Byron a follow at Byron Pringle Official. Okay, that's spelled ByronPringle Byron Pringle Official. And I think I feel like I say this on so many different episodes, but these shows are like such a gift, even to me, to be able to sit here and listen to people's stories and their strategies and what they did to be able to get started and have success. I mean, the reason why these are so powerful, even for me, is because as complicated and as advanced as you think that you need to be, you don't. And if you never leave the basics, you never have to come back to the basics. And the basics are what make you money. Everything else is a distraction. And a lot of times, the more successful we get, the more years in this business we get, we start adding, brace yourself, shit to our plate that we don't need. And if you don't leave the basics, you don't have to come back to them. And one of the basics for me is listening to people's stories every morning, listening to their strategies about how they got started. And, there's always a theme. And it's, what? I really started embracing the basics of being consistent, of focusing on traffic, of focusing on value generation, of turning my pains and my struggles into my strengths. Golly, man. So if you're not yet, sign up to our text message list to get a text message. Look, there's not even anything for sale, for God's sakes. I want to sell something, but as all I have for you is to sign up to the text message list. Text WUL to 813-296-8553 just to get a little simple text message reminder about when we go live every morning. And if you're serious and you want to take things to the next level, then get in there, especially if you're going through the challenge right now, and take action on our business blueprints. Get deeper with more accountability into our community. Put a little skin in the game. Take your education seriously. Invest in yourself for maybe the first time ever or in a long time. You deserve it. You're worth it. And the majority of the people that you see who have come through this process, all of them have taken their education seriously. It's a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. So be legendary, my friends. Get out of here, and we'll see you for another episode tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.